The trial in the case of Dominic Ongwen continued from 1st May to 17th July 2017 at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. During this time, 13 witnesses testified about their respective encounters with the LRA. The alleged former brigade commander of the senior brigade of the Lord's Resistance Army is accused of 70 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed during attacks against civilian population in Lokodi, Pajule, Odek, and Abok IDP camps between October 2003 and June 2004. Mr. Ongwen is represented by a defense team led by the defense counsel Mr. Crispus Ayena Odon. The defense is conducting its own investigations and has the right to examine prosecution witnesses. Since opening its case on 16 January 2017, the prosecution has called 24 witnesses, including one expert witness, several former LRA soldiers, as well as many survivors of attacks in IDP camps in Uganda. Witnesses are first questioned by the Office of the Prosecutor, then by the legal representative of victims, and finally by the Defense Counsel. Between 1st May and 17th July, 12 of the 13 witnesses presented by the Office of the Prosecution testified about their abductions by the LRA, with many of them saying they had been below the age of 15 at the time. Among these, witness P0280 testified to having been abducted in June 2004 at the age of 15 or 16 during an attack on a Bok IDP camp, and explained why the LRA preferred to abduct within a younger age range.
These were children who were abducted when they were still young. Most of them were abducted to be conscripted as soldiers because they knew these children did not have the capacity to escape. That was what they wanted from these children, because for the older persons, they would be able to know the places around, and it would be easy for them to escape.
Another witness, witness P0352, who testified via video link, said to have been abducted at the age of 12 and to have been assigned to Ongwen's household. She said to have been raped and later forced to marry an LRA soldier while in Ongwen's group. In its pre-trial brief, the Office of the Prosecutor alleges that such abducted women were treated as spoils of war, awarded as prizes without a say in the matter.
When he called me and asked me to make the bed, I went. I made the bed. When I was leaving, he told me, "Come back, sit down." I went back, sat down, and he told me to lie down. And I thought to myself, why is he asking me to lie down when I'm not supposed to be there? He asked me, "Do you want to live?" I said, "Yes, I do." He told me, "If you do, then lie down." I continued refusing. He asked me, "What do you choose, life or death?" I kept quiet. I lay down. And he continued doing what he was doing. He took off his clothes. He took off my underclothes. He took out his penis and put it in my vagina. He lay down, and I also lay down.
In their testimonies, several witnesses discussed the training they were given following their abduction, including lessons on how to march and how to handle a gun. Witness P0252 recalled that following his abduction and training by the LRA, he was forced to carry out atrocities and said to still be suffering extreme anguish as a result. In one particular recollection described in court, he said to have been forced to kill an abducted man.
They asked me to kill him. The old man started crying. He asked, "Why are you killing me? Why are you killing me?" One of the soldiers came and hit his chest with the butt of the gun. They tied his hands behind his back. They started chopping logs at that particular time. The log was as long as my arm. and they told me to start beating this person. They stood by while watching while I was beating him. I started beating the old man. I beat him very severely. They wanted me to beat him until I cracked his skull completely. So I beat the old man exactly in the manner that they wanted me to beat him. There was blood and brains splashing on my face. I was covered in blood and brains. When I stopped beating the man, I had lost all strength.
An abductee who spent over a decade in the LRA, witness P0054, said that promotions were given to induce soldiers to remain with the LRA. Certain criteria were taken into account for these promotions, as described.
On that one, what I know is they would give ranks on two bases. Either they would give you for aggression or for discipline. Sometimes they would give you ranks because you work hard and you carry out a lot of atrocities. But in the other event, you would be given ranks because of discipline.
An actual chief by the name of Ruot Oyuak, who participated in numerous peace negotiations between the Ugandan government and the LRA, testified without protective measures between 7th and 9th of June. One of the responsibilities he had due to his position of leadership was to welcome and support abductees who fled from the LRA and returned to the community. Several photographs of such returnees were shown in open court. In one such photograph, Ruot Oyuak identified Vincent Oti alongside a young child of approximately 10 or 11 years of age who was wearing a Pajule primary school uniform.
These photographs, we acquired them from Galdino on the day he returned with the children who were in the photos with him. When their luggage were checked, we found this photo as one of the things in. We felt it necessary that if the world should know what happened, then this photo would be a very clear message.
Against this context of abductions and violence in the region, several witnesses explained having had to move to camps for internally displaced people. One witness, witness P0269, spoke about the conditions in the Odek IDP camp and spoke of abuses by government soldiers.
What happened was that in the evening, someone would come and knock at your door. You open your door. They will begin harassing people and they would remove the woman while the man remains inside. They would go with the woman, sleep with her until dawn before she's brought back to the husband. The man would not have the capacity to complain. You would not even ask where your man is coming from.
In examining these 13 witnesses, the prosecution posed questions regarding the charged attacks on the Pajule, Odek, Lukodi, and Abok IDP camps. Several witnesses spoke about their participation in the attacks as LRA soldiers, while other witnesses testified about being abducted while in the camps. Witness P0144, who said to have been abducted by the LRA at the age of 17 from his school dormitory along with 50 other students, recounted events that unfolded during the attack on the Pajule IDP camp in which he was selected to participate. He recalled that approximately 500 LRA soldiers divided into 4 groups carried out the operation, and some 400 civilians were abducted.
There were 3 groups. The first group went to lay an ambush, and Lieutenant Lalero was the one commanding. He went to the road. The second group went to carry out their assault, and if I can remember, was led by Bogi. And the third group, which was a very big group, was the group where Dominic was. But even in that same group, there was the overall commander who was in that group. He was operation commander. It was Raska Lukuya who was coordinating all the other groups, all the 3 groups. The group that went to the center had gone to collect food items and abduct civilians. That was the group that he was in. They went to the center, and he was together with the overall operation commander, Raska Lukuya.
Witness P0249, who was abducted during the attack on the Pajule IDP camp, recalled seeing Dominic Ongwen issue instructions to soldiers under his leadership. According to him, all crimes committed in Pajule were done by Ongwen's soldiers.
There was no other person other than Ongwen. He's the one who came with the soldiers, and he was the one who was issuing instructions and giving orders to soldiers to go and take things and to take the food that was needed.
The May 2004 attack on Lokode was subject of examination during the testimony of witness P0018, who said to have participated in the attack under Dominic Ongwen's command. According to him, the town of Gwendia had been the original target of the attack, but due to strong government presence there, the LRA decided to attack Lokode instead. In an address given by Dominic Ongwen to soldiers of the Gilva and Senior brigades prior to the attack, witness P0018 recalled being instructed that the Acholi people were to be targeted.
The meeting, what I can recall, was when I was told that we should go and whoever we found on the road should be killed because the Acholi had become stubborn. If the government soldiers were killing their own children, why shouldn't they also kill government's children?
Witness P0024, an Acholi woman who was residing in the Lokode camp at the time of the attack, spoke about the loss of her children and other family members. The rebels came and they just started the operation on in our place, at our place. They started, they captured us, they started firing. So what they did, they put me to sit down, they tied me and with my beans, which was in my house, and my young child, which I was carrying, they carried the child and threw the child away because they said I made noise, I shouted. I think they had just taken me and they wanted to kill me. And then the other children who were thrown into fire, I even saw. I did not have any strength because my child was thrown away and I did not see anything else. That is what I saw and that's what is in my memory. That's what I went through. It was really, really terrible for me. The trial will resume on Monday, 14th August 2017, with the testimony of the 25th prosecution witness P0245.